Welcome back to another episode of After the License, the podcast where we help real estate agents build their business. I'm your host, Jeff Bittner. As always, if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up and make sure you check out everything we got in the description. We've got goodies like a free link to how to build your database in your sphere of influence. We have a link to our Facebook masterminding group and more. Today, we're going to talk about an interesting topic, and it's, should you ever fire a client? And if so, when? So, should you ever fire a client? I'm of the opinion that yes, you should. Too often in real estate, I see agents put up with so much from their clients. And it's, in one hand, understandable, right? Our clients are our livelihood, and a lot of times we have a ton of money and a ton of time invested in these people. But if we take a step back and we really think about it, there's no business that really allows their clients to do whatever they want. And you as a business owner should have that same mindset. You should have parameters for which your clients kind of act and behave within. And if for whatever reason your clients are not meeting those expectations, then I think you should consider firing them. Now, what those situations look like are going to be completely up to you, but the reality is you should keep that on the table, not only for having good business practices, but for your own sanity. Now, am I recommending you go out and just fire every client that doesn't do exactly what you were hoping they do? Absolutely not. But the reality is just some clients aren't going to be a good fit for your business. Now, before you fire anybody, I highly recommend meeting with or contacting or reaching out to your client and continuing to set expectations. And so let's run through a couple examples. Maybe your client is calling you at all hours of the night, right? If that's the case, make sure you set expectations and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, just so you know, these are the hours I'm available. Unfortunately, I'm not available to answer the phone calls in the middle of the night, right? And if they continue to do it, then you can send them something like, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, unfortunately, it doesn't feel like we're going to be a good fit. You're looking for someone who does X, Y, and Z, and that's just not what I'm capable of doing at this time. Maybe you have a buyer who's looked at 150 homes and they haven't written an offer on anything. Or they've written offers and they've all been lowball offers in a market where everything's flying off the shelves. If that's the case, make sure you reset expectations, make sure you come from a place of value. But if they continue to do it and you don't think it's going to work out and you don't want to continue to waste gas and waste time on these people, then make sure you reset those expectations. And if they're unwilling to meet those, then you just find them a different agent, right? Firing a client doesn't always have to be something dramatic. It can be referring them to a different agent. It can be referring them to a colleague in your office. It could be, having a sit-down conversation with them and reevaluating their wants and their needs, and maybe coming to a conclusion together that, hey, maybe now's not the right time to buy if you're unwilling to meet these price expectations. And the final one is maybe they expect something of you that's not in your job description, right? Or not something you feel comfortable with. In that case, reset those expectations, and if they don't meet them, feel free to let them go. I promise you, when you are willing in your own business to let the clients go that aren't a good fit for your business, it is the most rewarding and biggest piece of kind of owning your business, in my opinion. Again, not advising you to let every client go or that you have to fire any clients, but when you're willing to say, okay, I'm not going to take every single client just for the money. I'm not going to take every single client just because I want another transaction. I'm going to take clients that are good fits, that work with me well, that meet these criteria, whatever that looks like, right? When you're willing to kind of set parameters in your business, it has a freeing feeling. It has a calming effect, right? It has a big impact on the way you approach your business. So think about that if you're working with a difficult client. Think about that as you're interviewing prospective new clients, right? Again, you get to decide what your business looks like. And ultimately, especially if you're new, you want as many deals as you can get, even if they're not ideal. But that being said, you don't want clients that stress you out too much. You don't want clients that are unreasonable or that don't fit the expectations that you feel are reasonable. So make sure you set those expectations, and I would say don't hesitate to fire or reset those expectations if you need to. Guys, I hope this was helpful. As always, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and drop a comment below if you've ever had to fire a client, and I'll catch you next time.